Hello again, YouTube, and welcome back to Just Get a Tesla. It's 2 days before Christmas, the busiest travel day of the year. It's 2 in the afternoon and I've got to do 420 miles home. And at home, it's snowing. So keep watching, guys, because on this trip, anything could happen. The first thing to note is that traffic already looks horrible. Certainly large chunks of Rotherham are completely tied up with people basically fighting to get past each other to get to supermarkets and shops and whatever else. Dudes, do your Christmas shopping before Christmas. It'd be much easier and less stressful for everybody. So I am cutting my way out of Rotherham down some really nice and twisty back lanes towards the M18, and then we are going to head basically north up past Ferry Bridge, and then we'll see which way it's taking me. So it's trying to route me to Washington Supercharger, where it says I'm going to arrive on, oh no, it's saying Scotch Corner now, I'm going to arrive on 10%. Possible. Either way, we're going to go that way. I think it wants to send me A66 and then up the motorway. That might be a route we could go. I don't often go that way, so maybe we give it a whirl. Either way, this is all about basically trying to manage the traffic, trying to think about supercharger stops, and this is one, guys, where I will absolutely confess and say I am actively thinking about stops, because again, it's likely the busiest travel day of the year. It's the Saturday before Christmas, the 23rd of December. So a lot of people, an awful lot of people, are on the roads today. There's been storms, trains are disrupted, flights are disrupted. It's not pretty. So basically, if you're going to get stuck, you're going to get stuck today. And I'm setting off in the middle of the afternoon. So basically, this is the ultimate stress test for stressful trips. I don't think it's going to be particularly stressful, if I'm honest, but there's one way to find out. So a few other things we should note as we're setting off. I have got 48% left in the battery, and how can I put this? There is a fever about the way that some people are driving today. It's quite warm, at least here. It's 11 degrees, so we're not going to have to be too concerned about cold sapping the range. It is not remotely as windy as it has been on some of the previous days. If you've been watching previous videos on this trip, you'll have seen just how blooming windy it was. It's not like that now, so that's going to be a positive. But it's just going to be interesting to see just how crazy things get, because there are people literally hooning themselves around, certainly in Sheffield and Rotherham, intent on getting to wherever it is that they're going quickly. And I think this is Christmas shopping fever. I am not on any kind of clock on this trip. I'm not in a tearing hurry. I'll get there when I get there, and that's absolutely fine. You know, the journey times where you're in a flap all the time about getting there instantly, that just drives you crazy with stress. Well, why on earth would you want to do that when you could just get there and be chilled? And if it takes you slightly longer but you're chilled instead of being stressed, isn't that worth the extra time? The northern end of the Doncaster bypass bit of the A1M, and we're not going to follow the A1 because of the Wentbridge roadworks, which we saw on the way down, are causing what I already knew was going to be a horrible queue, but it's horrible in every direction. So what we're going to do is, like on the way down, we're going to come off the road, go onto some back roads, and then rejoin the main road a little bit later on. So it's saying at the moment it's routing me to the Scotch Corner Supercharger to charge up. Fine. And we're going to get there still on 14.14%, which is absolutely fine. So we're coming off here and we're going to follow the old road north instead until we cut back on at Wentbridge to bypass the roadworks. I'm quite glad the car has suggested this, although to be fair, I was planning on doing this anyway, because I do know some of these diversion routes that can be taken. I do know that there are cut-throughs that are doable, and I've actually had to do this one quite a few times in the past. So I knew it was here. Wentbridge, well, that whole section of A1 is awful, so it's absolutely fine. Again, this is mission waft home. Yeah, like Chris Rea, I am driving home for Christmas, and I don't want to get there feeling wound up. So let's just roll along, find the least stressful way to get home, and everyone's going to be happy. Back onto the A1, but not for long, because the Scotch Corner supercharger is notoriously busy. There are not enough stalls, it's on a major junction, and they're slow, they're V2 chargers. So that was advising it was going to be busy. So I've made the decision to come off the motorway here and go to Ferrybridge. And the reason for doing that is I've still got 37% in the battery, so I don't need to charge now, but I'll need to charge at some point. And Ferrybridge has got V3 chargers, which are much quicker, because the V3 ones charge relatively independently of each other. So if it's a busy site, you're not going to be slowed down by the fact that other people are charging. Scotch Corner, as a V2 site, you are slowed down. So even if Scotch Corner had a free stall, chances are I'm going to be getting at best 62 or so kilowatts. Here, on this kind of power, I don't think I'd be getting 162, but I should be getting well north of 100. So the charge rate will be much quicker if I stop here. Plus, there are plenty of free charging stalls. So it's a bit of a no-brainer, really. I'm stopping early, but in doing so, I should be saving time. And this is all about a relatively stress-free drive home for Christmas, and hoping that we don't get stuck either in stupid traffic or in stupid charging shenanigans. Just arrived at Ferrybridge, just plugged in. Let's have a look at what we're getting. It's busy. It's not that busy. Where are we? 129, 130. So it's already way quicker than I would have been getting at Scotch Corner. So like I said, I'd have got 162 max. So I'd have got, excuse me, I would have got 62 kilowatts max, and I'm getting 148. Keep going, 150. So it's doing well today, and that's really quite useful, because obviously the more kilowatts you're getting, the more speed you're getting with the way that it's charging. So basically, the faster the charge, the shorter the stop. I'm still at Ferrybridge charging. It's just hit 84%. But the thing that has got me thinking at the moment isn't really charging. It's what's the best way to head north considering the weather. And I'm thinking that I don't want to go the west route, which would be Scotch Corner and then across to Brough and then up the motorway and Glasgow. And the reason for that is just this storm has been basically coming in off the west and battering it. So I think staying away from that side probably makes sense, just from a weather and traffic and everything else perspective. So that basically gives me A1 or Jedburgh. And it's just that, is the Jedburgh route what I want to do? I did a trip previously in the winter and nearly got stuck in a blizzard climbing up Sutra Bar, which is the last of the big climbs before you get to Edinburgh. So I think we're going A1. And if we're going A1, that means we're probably going Tyne Tunnel, although it's suggesting at the moment that Newcastle is absolutely fine, which is interesting. I'm a little bit perplexed actually as to quite what the car is doing, because it's been sitting here telling me that I need to carry on charging for longer, and I'm on 85% now, which feels like it's probably enough, and I'm certain that it is. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to manually add a stop at the Edinburgh supercharger and see what it says. So it's still saying that it wants me to do a zap and dash at Scotch Corner, which makes no sense to me at all, because there is no way that this car is that inefficient. But which way? Hang on, let's have a look. which way is the map telling me to go? And I'm just talking to you basically while I'm looking at this. So it wants me to go A66. I think that route's slightly quicker, or it's suggesting that it's slightly quicker. I just don't want to drive it. So I'm just leaving Ferry Bridge now to get the road north. What I've done is I've gone and taken out supercharger stops because I'm curious. So what it's telling me now is it wants me to go Tyne Tunnel and A1, which is what I was expecting. It's literally a few minutes slower but a lot shorter than going the East Coast route. So basically it's telling me that I am going to arrive into the Edinburgh supercharger on -2%. Okay, -2%. Here's the thing, I don't think I will, because my energy use on that diversion was quite a lot. So 353 watt hours per mile on the last 5 miles and last 15. Given that I'm now going to be rolling along the motorway and the wind is kind of behind us again, I don't think there's going to be any issues at all. So I'm expecting that -2 to turn into like +5, +6. And I've always got Addiston as a backup in case I did need a quick zap and dash. So we're going to go with what I was thinking when I set off. Still on the A1, I'm not going the Teesside route. Basically this looks slightly quicker. There's also these odd messages going up on the gantry saying that the A1 is closed north of Alnwick. Well, according to traffic, it isn't. And I actually rang my wife and checked with her, and she's had a look on RAC and AA Roadwatch, and they're saying that the road is open as well. So we'll see if there's any more of those further up. But I do have the option to stay A1 around the west side of Newcastle, and that gives me options then to go the Jedburgh route or Coldstream route. Either way, it's fine. We've got bags of juice. It's now telling me I'm going to arrive on the supercharger on 12%. So Newcastle bypass, going through the roadworks, and apparently there is a Christmas miracle. Because this is flowing freely, and this road never flows freely. Even when there aren't roadworks, this road doesn't flow freely, and yet here we are. So this is good. We are ordinarily I'd go through the Tyne Tunnel to bypass this horrible under capacity bit of road, and yet here we are, going past the Angel of the North, which is over on my right hand side, which you can't see, just sticking its head up through the gloom. Good news, the A1 has reopened. So just as I was approaching the A1 Newcastle Airport junction, where I would have had to have come off to head towards Jedburgh, it says A1 North now open. Good, so we'll stick with plan A. The reason why I want to go this way, preferably rather than over the hills, is frankly the easterly, slightly more major route I think is going to be better in the dark and intermittent rain. Also, it's further away from this storm that's blowing in. Plus also, let's be honest, the Addison supercharger is there as a backup in case I need it, but at the moment it's saying I'll arrive into the supercharger on 3%. It's actually telling me to stay below 60 miles an hour to get there. Well, there's good news, because a lot of this route is single carriageway, so we're only going to be doing 60, and I think we'll spend a fair bit of time slower than that. So getting there, I think, is absolutely fine. I have rolled into the Edinburgh supercharger several times now on 2% or less. It's absolutely fine. The Tesla range predictor is pretty damn good at telling you exactly what the state of charge is going to be when you get there. So no particular concerns, but if I decided I needed to stop and have a wee, then I could always do that at Addiston. It's got to be said, the reason for going up the A1 tonight rather than going cross country is literally this. We have got a relatively straight road. There's very little on it because it was down as closed, so people have found routes elsewhere. This is great. I can barrel along at the speed limit without having to worry too much about all the traffic. Long may this continue. This isn't always what you get with the A1. Not always. But tonight, this is perfect. I have just pulled up at Addiston because, quite frankly, I need a wee. It's quite away from Ferry Bridge and I've been supping on water, and I think this might actually be one of the last examples I get with the charging stops that I'm planning on doing to pick up some chocolatey goodness, and I think it's definitely the season for doing that. So I haven't preconditioned this battery at all because I had no plan at all to actually stop here, so it'll be interesting to see what we're actually going to get, and I'm expecting it's not going to be a lot. And looking at it, it's giving me 35 kilowatts, and you know what, that's absolutely fine because I was going to reach Edinburgh on a couple of percent, but done that before. So into the shop, toilet, snacks, 5 minutes, that'll do it. I really do have to hand it to you keyboard warrior endless driver types who can drive for 8 hours non-stop and think that's a sensible idea. I don't know about you guys, but I need a break now and then. So I've gone in the shop, had a wee, bought some snacks, stuck the car on charge for what, 8 minutes literally. While I'm doing that, what on earth is the problem with that, guys? You know, the shrieking that I'm going to get. So, oh, you've had to stop, and oh, you've had to go and buy some snacks. Now I want them. Oh, look, also, look. We have got light up, completely pointless. We have got light up add-on accessories, which I got from the Tesla store. And I didn't do a video about installing them, but it took 10 minutes. Is there enough light to be able to see it? Yes, there is. Hey! Hello, Scotland. And we are home again. Well, not quite home again, because let's be honest, there is miles and miles and miles and miles still to go. I've still got 63 miles to run to get to Edinburgh Newbridge, and then after that it's still another 150 or something. So a fair old way to go until I arrive back at North Pole North. We are on the A1 between Dunbar and Edinburgh, and the wind has got up again, so you can both hear the wind and feel it shunting the car around. And what that means, there you go, another big gust there. What it means from an efficiency perspective is that on my 5 mile average, I'm now on 340 watt hours per mile versus 283 on the 30 mile average, and that 283 was like 270 about 5 minutes ago. So I am getting absolutely battered by this wind. It's still saying I'm going to arrive on around 5%. Hang on, let's just make sure that I'm not going to be in the way of this guy coming up the slip road. Let's give him a bit of room. So it's saying I'm going to arrive on 4.6%, which again is fine, but we'll keep an eye on it in case that drops any more. You never know. Let's see what this wind does next. It is impressive though. I mean, this storm has been raging for days, you know, days, and it's still going. What is going on with the weather? I just arrived at Edinburgh. As you can see, enormous queues, very busy, lots of very angry people in EVs having to wait an eternity to be able to do anything. Oh no, that's right, that's all cobblers. And we've gone straight to 253, did you see that? 253, and now 251. That is immense speed, immense speed, and that is why Tesla have got the advantage over everybody else, because these superchargers go ridiculously quickly. Right, I'm going to go ridiculously quickly and get some tea. Leaving Edinburgh now, just come out the supercharger and going straight out onto the motorway. Things have definitely quietened down. So I think it was busy earlier, it isn't busy now. McDonald's even was quiet. I've seen scrums of cars trying to get in and out of that car park. It was dead quiet, very odd. I couldn't tell you, by the way, how long I was parked for charging the car up. I haven't a clue. I don't care. I wasn't paying attention. Speed is not the mission on this one. Getting home for Christmas, chilled out without any issues, is what this one's all about. So I haven't got a clue how long I was plugged in for. It doesn't matter. The point is that the car is now absolutely juiced up to be able to get me home with bags and bags to spare. Supposedly there is snow, or there certainly has been snow at home. Could still be some on the ground. We shall have to see. Either way, it's not a problem. Let's get up there and have a look. I did see some Winter Wonderland pictures though earlier, which were nice enough to make me slightly jealous that I had actually missed it, because there certainly wasn't any snow in Sheffield. Good God. I can't see anything. There's a wall of spray. It started raining a bit. Well, I did speculate at the beginning that anything could happen, but we seem to have had a variety of different conditions, and it's still 12 degrees. So you can't say that it's, you know, it's winter horribleness, but it started absolutely bucketing it down. That lane started feeling really kind of wet, and then I'm trying to pass the truck and it's like, okay, I have parked my car under a waterfall. Let's see if this one's any better. It's the same thing. The amount of water coming off these trucks. Oh wow. Oh blimey. Okay, that's really quite wet. What else are we going to have? Come on, let's have it. I know there's supposed to be some snow still on the ground earlier on. As long as it's water coming off, I suppose, and not if it was loads of snow coming off the truck, that'd be even worse. Let's tempt a bit of fate, shall we? Come on, let's have it. Much further north than when I was last on, but there hasn't really been a huge amount really to show you. It has been a rather quiet drive all the way up, but suddenly, as we've got here into Buchan, there is definitely snow on the ground. Although the roads aren't slushy, what's happening instead is the snow is clearly melting, and there's quite a lot of water, not just standing on the ground, but actually running as all of the snow that came down is melting off. So I can tell that it has been pretty wintry up here, and I'm probably glad that I'm getting up here at nearly 11 at night rather than 12 hours ago when it was tipping it down. So that's okay. So this trip, when I set off, I honestly didn't know what I was going to get. Was it going to be traffic hell? Was I going to be stuck waiting for chargers? Because again, I have read in various newspapers which never ever exaggerate that all EV drivers and Tesla drivers definitely are queuing at Christmas, because, well, obviously we would be, and yet I still haven't ever queued for a charger. Not when I'm on a trip and I'm going places. Never. It hasn't happened. And I suspect it's still not going to happen, because again, the Tesla system is very good at knowing if chargers are busy and ensuring that you stop at another one, because there are plenty of them and they're installing plenty more. I was in Sheffield for the last few days and there's a big charger site near Meadowhall. It's installed, they just haven't switched it on yet because apparently there's some power supply issues with the site landlord or whatever. It'll get fixed, I'm sure, fairly quickly, and when it does, then that really will be handy. It is impressive just how much snow is still down on the ground. I mean, you can see the road is, yes, we're down to tarmac, so we're not driving on snow, but it's not all cleared off. It's not like the entire surface is clear of it and it's just on the verges. It's still everywhere. And as you go into some of the bends, you know, you do find yourself kind of drifting a little bit, following the tarmacy bit. okay, it's not too bad here, but there's been a couple of other patches before I turn the camera back on where it was quite narrow. And I missed it all. So, lucky me managing to time this so that this is all that's really left. This is fine. And there we have it. A trip that was way easier than I thought that it was going to be, just because there was a lot less traffic than everyone said there was going to be. Which is a relief, because the weather was changeable. Heavy winds, torrential rain, snow, a bit of everything. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the bell icon so you know when the next video comes out. Please comment, that's always really helpful to the algorithm. If you are going to buy a Tesla, use my referral code, again, that'd be really great. Or buy me a coffee if you're feeling all seasonal. And on that happy note, I'll leave it there. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you back here very soon on Just Get a Tesla.